What is up, guys? Welcome back. It's been a while. Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. It's February 23rd as I record this. We got a fun week. We had the Super Bowl last weekend, and now we are full swing into the 2026 NFL offseason. In today's video, it's titled 2026 NFL Draft Combine Preview. The Combine starts at the end of this weekend. I'm looking forward to getting some information on a lot of guys, specifically the fantasy relevant positions. So what we're going to do today is, let me pull up a screen share here. I have not been making a lot of videos, and I apologize. It's been kind of a nice little time off for me the last month and a half or so, really 2 months. And now we're going to start making some videos again. So we're going to, I have been putting stuff up on the website though. That's one thing that has, I try to get at least one thing up there per week the last few weeks. So if you guys are new to the Fantasy Fellowship, check out thefantasyfellowship.com. All the free content under the free content tab. And then all the member content, you guys can check that out there. I did put out an article with some dynasty buys. This morning, I worked on some dynasty sells. I might make a video for that later this week, but you can check that one out. That one's free. If there's a lock on it, it's got the membership paywall, but otherwise, if it's free, there won't be a lock on it. I did the 2025 advanced data study. You guys can check that out. I haven't talked about free agency yet. We'll probably talk about that later this week, but we're going to talk about this scouting combine article that I have out here. And it's basically just a primer for everything that's going to happen this week. And here is the details of the combine. So February 23rd, technically guys are reporting today through March 2nd, Lucas Oil Stadium, as always. The kickers are going to kick it off on Thursday with the defensive line and the linebackers. Friday is kind of a fun day, tight end and defensive backs. Saturday is my favorite day of the combine, the QBs, receivers, and the running backs. That one starts at 1 p.m. there Eastern on Saturday. And then we finish up with the offensive linemen. So we got a lot of stuff to look forward to at the end of the week. Here's a breakdown by school, how many teams are going here. You can see the full list of invites here if you just click on that tab. Then you guys can see everything a little bit differently. But for the most part, school record for Texas A&M, Alabama with 12, LSU, Ohio State, Miami, Georgia, Oklahoma. So the usual suspects dominating the combine list here. But we have some new teams, Indiana, Oregon, Florida, Iowa. Not really a new team for Oregon, but some interesting new names and programs here popping up towards the top of the most schools here. And then this is the quarterback list that we're going to be looking at on Saturday. And what I do is I use NFL Mock Draft Database because I just like how they have a huge database of everyone's mock drafts. And what they're going to do is just compile a list of guys based on those mock drafts. So you guys can check out those rankings here. But that's essentially what the ranking column is on the far left here. You got, Fernando Mendoza, the number 1 overall pick. He's really the only quarterback worth a damn, I think, in this draft. Everybody else, Ty Simpson, Garrett Nussmeier, Carson Beck, Drew Allar, a lot of these guys are quality quarterbacks, but I think they're more backup quarterbacks. I don't know if I see any of these guys as franchise quarterbacks that we're going to be looking to build around, but it is somewhat deep. I like guys like Diego Pavia, even though he's a little older for a prospect. I think Haynes King is interesting in the modern NFL day as a rusher QB. So we have a total of 15 quarterbacks. I think last year we had a similar number. It's about an average size QB class for the prospect pool this season, but it's really all about Fernando Mendoza. And even if he has a bad combine or does anything wrong in drills, I think he's still pretty much locked in to the Raiders, but you never know. I do think Ty Simpson, Garrett Nussmeier, those guys have the most to gain and maybe the most to lose on the combine here. And then guys outside, like I thought Cade Klubnik is an interesting name. Cole Payton, that's a guy that played at North Dakota State. He's really interesting. Small school though. If he can show out and show his athleticism on Saturday, he could earn some more money and some more draft capital. So some interesting names here, but a pretty lackluster QB class. So hopefully in your dynasty rookie drafts, you guys aren't going to need anybody to start for you. Otherwise, it's one of those landing spot situations where we like a guy in his new team, and maybe in a year or two he'll get a chance to make some starts for us. So 15 quarterbacks will be throwing. There's a total of 21 running backs, 9 in 2024, and a total of 27 backs in the 2023 combine. So we're down significantly, and this is a pretty interesting group. After Jeremiah Love, who's the consensus, top 10 pick, who I'm still working on I've been doing a lot of combine research and getting my 2026 draft profile stuff ready. Jeremiah Love checks all the boxes. He's a bona fide top 10, I think a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. And honestly, like if you're in a 1 QB league, Jeremiah Love is the best player as far as, all the fantasy positions. Like he would be the 101 in a super flex. You can think about Mendoza. But if you really wanted Jeremiah Love and say he winds up in a fun spot, I think he's worth the 101 as well. So he's going to be right up there in my rankings for Superflex. But it's interesting. Jadarian Price, the other back at Notre Dame, is the consensus RB2. I really like Jonah Coleman and Emmett Johnson. Johnson's really fun. He's a good, just really athletic back, a little bit lighter, but he's a really interesting guy. The Mike Washington here from Arkansas is pretty good. And then we have 2 Penn State guys, and these guys both have an interesting skill set that they complemented each other at Penn State. We'll see if they get a shot to lead a backfield somewhere, but it's a pretty deep class. Like I feel pretty good, all the way down in here to like the RB 12, 13 range. So it is a good dynasty rookie draft class for running backs. I think you're going to like round 2. That's where you're going to see a lot of these names like Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, Roman Hemby. Round 2 of your dynasty rookie drafts are going to be pretty interesting this year. And then for me, I guess on the combine thoughts, does any, we have such a huge gap here. Do any of these guys pull up closer into the mid or the early part of the second round is kind of what I'm looking for. But we have a total of 5 guys ranked in the top 100 or so, and we'll see if that changes. But I think this is a solid depth class. Really only has Jeremiah Love as the feature blue chip guy. But there are going to be some guys that get some good landing spots, and we like them quite a bit. One guy that I cannot figure out what he's going to do at the NFL level is Eli Heidenreich. He went to Navy. This dude is like a receiving running back. He just made big plays happen. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. He ran some really nice routes down the middle of the field. He's a mismatch kind of guy. And he's just an interesting player because I just don't know where an NFL team is going to play him. Are they going to let him play just specifically one running back position or one wide receiver position? I can envision him, in a creative offense. If someone gets their hands on him and they have him doing all kinds of stuff with the ball in his hands, that would be kind of fun. So he's one of my favorite sleepers in the class there, Eli Heidenreich out of Navy. Let's look at the receivers real quick, where this is probably maybe the most exciting group of the combine here. We have 3 potential stud wide receivers, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, and Makai Lemon. This is the consensus top 3 receivers. You can see there's a dip in the rankings. We have 7, 10, 13, and then down to 23. So these guys are kind of locked in. I don't know if I see either one of these guys falling out of the top 3 at this point. I like all 3 of them fairly well. It's just going to be landing spot will decide rankings. I do like Makai Lemon almost the most out of the 3 of them from my early research so far. So this is probably the one position that I'm watching the most on Saturday. These top 3 receivers, I want to see who separates themselves or potentially falls behind here. And then the other part of this is I love the top 3, but after that, it's kind of wide open. I've been checking these rankings for the last few weeks, and it just seems like someone's always leapfrogging or someone's moving up to be that number 4, number 5. So we have a couple guys here vying for that number 4 receiver spot. And then this whole round 2 range from 45 down to about 66. It's just changing. So a lot of information will be had, I think, this weekend based on who's running nice 40 times and putting up good looking routes and catching the ball with their hands and that kind of stuff. So really deep group of receivers. I think it goes as deep as, down here. I think there's some interesting players. I really liked Eric Rivers, who had a really nice East-West Shrine game from Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech just didn't really have to throw the ball, so he's not going to blow you away with his college numbers, but he looked really good in that East-West Shrine game, and he was one of the better players there. We have just a lot of interesting names here, but to me, it's a Skylar Bell, Deion Burks. This is kind of where it starts to tear off for me. So we have about 15 wide receivers that are going to be useful, I think, for fantasy, just pending landing spot. But Skylar Bell is one of those, I guess he's one of my other sleeper picks that I want to see where he lands up because everything looks really good for him and he checks my boxes. So we got some sleepers there for you. We got a deep sleeper in Eric Rivers, and then we'll figure out some of these guys deep down here. But overall, I like this wide receiver class. Last year, we had 49 attendees. This year, we have 46. And we have about 15 or 16 receivers ranked worth a top 100 pick so far. And all that could change based on this weekend. Now, the tight ends. This was wild to me because when I was logging these attendees, I was just like, the list just kept going. We have 27 tight ends attending the combine, and they're going to be going on Friday with the defensive backs. So Last year, we only had 21. The year before, we had 16 and then 20. So it's a significant jump up. We don't have a ton of depth here at the tight end position. I think Kenyon Sadiq is the primary athletic tight end that you're looking for in the first round. But then we drop all the way to like early mid third round for the next group of tight ends. Eli Stowers, Max Clare out of Ohio State. I like him quite a bit. And then we have the Baylor tight end, Michael Trigg. So 4 total tight ends in the top 100. And then I think this group right here from, Justin Jolly, Oscar Delp, Jack Endries, Joe Royer, Eli Raridon, a lot of these players could make up some room and figure out to be top 100 picks. So we will figure that out. I think the tight end group does not excite me this year. I usually get excited about these tight ends because the last few years they've been hitting, whether it's been Brock Bowers or, even deep guys like Oronde Gadsden. Like the tight ends have been making a dent as a rookie. So we'll have to find some sleepers here at the tight end spot and figure out if we can see anything for the dynasty rookie drafts we have coming up. But 27 total tight ends attending. And that is it. That is the primer here for you guys this coming weekend. And then I will say again, if you guys are new to the Fantasy Fellowship, check out the fantasyfellowship.com. I do have a rankings tab here, which I'll probably update tomorrow, but it's the draft prospect ranking. Census big boards over here on mock draft to you. So if you want to see, how many go ahead. We have a lot of guys here. We have total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total fantasy first round picks. So that's up there on the good free stuff in there. And I hope you find a dad, sir. I will not be your dad. Sorry, I need support for that. But either way, it's just live stream podcast season tonight, and I'm just kind of easing back into it. So we'll cover some of the dynasty buys and sells, and I want to start doing some more dynasty content now that we're officially into the 2026 season. So thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you guys soon.